Boomer Movie Reviews, take one. Now this film, go to see is, I don't even remember the title. I dropped my pills on the way in. And the time I look up, I see these lazy millennials yerking it to the iPhones. So I'm not exactly sure. It was something like US. Now this film is called US, doesn't really have nothing to do with America. It's an anti-American, essentially commie film if you watched it. Now I noticed at the beginning of the film that it's watching TV. That's a good thing, wholesome American activity. And then we see a lot of stuff like Hold Hands America. What kind of gay commie crap is this, right? Holding Hands America. Get this out of here. Let's see, it's the 1980s, supposed to be the glories of the Reagan era. I didn't really see anything in this movie that glorified trickle-town economics. There was a lot of trickle-town. Like, I was in the 80s. You weren't, I was there. I was in the 80s. By the way, there's a guy going around stuffing his shirt with a pillow who's ripping off my character. Screw him. Screw him to the underworld. Hands Across America. Didn't make sense. Now that says movies like Thriller or something, I'm looking for Michael Jackson. I'm just seeing people walking around the Coney Island Carnival. If you've ever been to the Coney Island Carnival, I grew up there. Basically I still live on the funnel cakes there. If you've never had the funnel cake, go get you one. Those funnel cakes are groovy. I don't know what the millennials are saying these days with the lazy terms. What's this? Is groovy? Is that too exhausting to your vocal cords to say the word groovy? You gotta say word like swag. You millennials gotta say swag. Did you get your swag on? Only thing I know about swag is in between my legs. It's got a lot of swag. When it's not squished between my gut and the scooter. Now, this kid wanders off. Where are his parents? This is the thing with parents, right? Now in the 80s, you didn't let this happen. Nowadays, parents, they let their kids, they're tweeting on the ice cream, the iPhone, or the screaming on the Insta scream, whatever the hell they're called. And they're not even paying attention to what's going on, okay? Now at my Masonic Lodge, 1986, we had a nice little setup of fellas. We would all talk between ourselves and make sure nothing like this would ever happen. You wouldn't lose kids. This kid wanders off. Turns out there's an underground base. Oh, give me a break. Spoiler alert. Nothing to spoil, because the whole movie's spoilt. Now this kid finds underground base, and spoiler alert, it's full of clones. Now this is commie propaganda trying to tell you that your government's up to cloning and they're all evil and trust your leaders, okay? Ronnie Reagan, good boy, he was in Hollywood, all right? Bedtime for bonzos. He's freaking playing with monkeys. Would a bad guy do that? No, all right? He's a good guy. He's a good old boy. Where would you get a 401k, huh? And these commies out there, 401k, KK, whatever you want to call these Marxist commies out there with the division. They say, the kid says fluoride mind control. All right, that's a commie conspiracy. The commies are up to this. And it makes it look like it's a joke, right? There's nothing crazy going on. But in fact, it's the commies in the government, right? Ronald Reagan who took down the Soviet Empire. But we had a bunch of Soviets, sniffer agents they're called. They're called Soviet KGB sniffer agents, and they're stuck all out into the government. They're still running things now. The sniffer agents. Now let's see. Now that's not what my first ex-wife. She gets a Swiffer. That's what you clean that's what you. I'd like to clean her mouth out with it with the way she talks and acts. But I tell you, that's not what a Swiffer agent is. Okay, a sniffer agent's undercover KGB trying to take down America for freedoms. Now, follow the white rabbit through this movie. We don't know what this is. You get to the end of the movie and there's clones everywhere and And there's a nice upper class white family, probably Democrats, and they get killed. Come on. The black Republican family, they get killed. Basically, everybody almost gets killed except for some clones or whatever. I see it as a commie plot. Don't go see the movie U.S. It's a dark, dreary commie dystopia. That's what they want. All right. That's just. I gotta stand up off of the scooter for these videos, and it gets my heart hurting. It gets my heart hurting. Turn the camera off, Laurie. Laurie, take your strip clothes. Put your stripper clothes on and turn the camera off. I gotta get the Harley ready. You gotta take me to the hospital.
This is Jay's analysis. Not actually a boomer, but this is a boomer public service announcement. It's time to eradicate the boomer. The more you know. Now, to get to the real analysis, I went to saw Us, and that was crazy. It takes place in 1986. We notice a lot of these movies, especially Stranger Things, are taking place in the 80s. The 80s seems to be this formative period. See, the boomers here are banging on the walls, building Harley Davidsons in their condos. But the 80s seem to be formative for this time period when the dimensional gates are opening almost. All hell is breaking loose in the 80s in terms of what Hollywood's telling us lately. And as KJ pointed out in one of his videos, which I'll link below, we have been seeing this idea of doubling and the alternate personality coming to the fore, the dark side, the shade, according to Carl Jung, which is actually demonic. Now, in this opening sequence, we see the TV and we see the family has some VHS in the 80s. They have Chud, they have Goonies, some other typical movies, but Chud is a big clue here because the hilarious movie Chud is actually about chronicling the lives of the homeless in the sewers, and then finding down there that there's these sort of monstrous creatures that are preying on humans. So we have this underworld theme, which we've seen in other films. And again, this is an archetypal idea going back to ancient literature. They also have the Goonies, which is relevant here. There is a Goonies aspect to this. And we notice that it's taking place when there's the Hands Across America rally, which was some kind of social engineering operation. Not 100% sure what was behind it, but it's interesting that they chose this goofy kind of America-wide phenomena of let's all hold hands and be gay for what? I don't know. What was the point of Hands Across America? Maybe just to see how many people they could get to do it. And I did figure out in the movie, I did figure out what was going on, so I can pat myself on the back for that, but there were still some elements that surprised me. It's a good movie. We see when the family is at the carnival, you'll notice that there is a reference to 11 quite a bit. And you'll also see rabbits popping up. Now this is explained later, but there's a deeper sense to which the rabbit signifies the white rabbit, which is following the trail of the deep state synchronicities, right? We've seen this when we looked at examples like the Matrix, right? The rabbit is what leads you to the solution, and that actually seems to be part of something to do with MK Ultra, Follow the Rabbit in terms of Alice in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes, right? Now, when the girl is wandering through the theme park, through the carnival, she sees a dude with Jeremiah 11:11 written on his forehead. Now, of course, we learn that he is signifying a verse that deals with pouring out judgment on them, and nobody's going to be able to escape the judgment that's coming. So there's an apocalyptic aspect to this movie. And the revelation of the method aspect that we could point to is the fact that, yes, this movie is talking about the fact that the conspiracies are real, But the boomers, the adults, they don't believe it. They can't accept it. So the teenage daughter who's playing on her cell phone, she's starting to realize this conspiracy stuff. And she talks about water being fluoridated. She says, apparently none of you guys even care that the water's fluoridated. And nobody even pays her attention. The dad laughs. The dad's kind of like a total beta, right? Which is accurate. And she wanders into this theme park called Vision Quest, and she meets her shade there. Inside the fun house, the mirrors, she sees an owl. The owl, of course, signifying Molech and the inner secret society behind this secret program. It's also interesting that everybody's wearing black flag shirts. Not sure why that comes up a bunch, but both in the 80s and in the fast forward to the present day, black flag is very popular, which is, of course, punk, right? So maybe punk signifies this apocalyptic period that's coming. Now she wanders off, and 1111 pops up consistently. In fact, the beginning of the TV show in the 80s that she's watching, there's a discussion of the Twin Towers are mentioned, and then I think it's even Channel 11. So 11, 11, 11, 11, 11 is popping up consistently. And 9 has to do with initiation. 9 comes up, and then 11. So you can tell what that's referencing. And we see this theme of doubling and having altars. And then eventually the family gets assaulted, as you know, and the alternate family shows up to get rid of the existing family. And they act very weird, but they're psychopaths. All of the clones, spoiler alert, we find out they're clones, are psychopathic. And supposedly they are tethered to the souls of the existing humans. So there's this idea that science can go so far, and then when science reaches this point, it's unable to go beyond. It's unable to create the soul or to link the soul to the new body. Now this is interesting because this harkens to a lot of in the rap sphere, Gucci Mane, right? There's all these conspiracies about rappers being cloned. I don't think that's true, personally. I think that's goofy. But it is within the realm of possibility, I would say, that the cloning aspect, I mean, obviously there's some reality to cloning and all that. As to how far they've actually gotten is anyone's guess and up for debate, I suppose. But it's absolutely part of the agenda, and it's absolutely part of transhumanism. Cloning is absolutely a means by which many believe that there will be a technological, Gnostic, Luciferian answer to the question of mortality and how to live forever. And believe it or not, that's what this movie ends up being about. The Illuminati clone conspiracy. Synchronicity factors heavily into the film. We see synchronicity everywhere because symbols and rabbits and 11 pop up consistently. And if you remember in Stranger Things, she was 11, wasn't she? And I mentioned that in my Stranger Things analysis. There's a lot of similarities between this movie and Stranger Things. Both are set around 85, 86. And then when the Synthoids, if you've seen the G.I. Joe episode Synthoids, this is kind of like that. The replacement characters have no soul. They're in some way linked to the people that do have souls, but they're religious fanatics. So oddly enough, I was wondering, are we getting this Bird Box kind of idea where if you believe in a god, you're a psychopathic Illuminati clone from the underground bases? I'm not sure. But there's a clear play on the words, us, U.S., because when the cloned demonic psychopath family arrives, they say, "We're Americans." So they're evil Illuminati psychopath clones here to replace Americans. And it began in the 80s with neocons, Reagan. Okay, maybe I could buy that. So the 80s leads to the period of synthoid takeover replacement, social collapse, and the red jumpsuits. Not sure why they were red jumpsuits. Was it hearkening to commie? I don't think so, but why it would be the red jumpsuit? Maybe just to connect it to the Hands Across America. I can't stop the boomers from hammering while I talk. And they come up from the sewers like Chud, and the sewers are actually underground bases. Classic Conspiriana. And guess what? There are underground bases. Are they cloning people down there? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were. There's a good play on boomer culture, Gen X even. The midway between boomer Gen X, that era is critiqued. And then we find out, of course, that the underground facilities were abandoned by the deep state, the government, because the underground facilities couldn't produce clones with souls. So this movie, I think, is operating on multiple levels. It's operating on an allegorical level where it's speaking to mindless consumerism and being replaced by a generation of really degenerate people after the 80s into the 90s. It's making a commentary on social issues, moral issues. Amazingly, there wasn't really a whole lot of racial issues. There was a bit of feminism with the idea that the dad is kind of a beta character and the mom is the real strength in this film. And then if you've not seen it, then you don't want to hear this part. If you've seen it, then you know the twist at the end. I did figure out the twist at the end. And is he saying that it's inevitable the elites are going to replace us with our Illuminati clone? Because, of course, the mom was the clone the whole time. Right? And she says she's seen God, which is interesting. So if we follow the white rabbit, does it lead us to underground bases and Illuminati clones? Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out Jay's analysis. Are we puppets? That's the real question here, right? Because the synthoids are puppets of us, but are we puppets of them? Check out Jay's analysis. Subscribe below. And I hope you enjoyed the fake Boomer movie review at the beginning, the Boomer PSA. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you like this analysis, be sure to click subscribe and give me a thumbs up down below. Also, be sure to check out Jay's analysis and definitely click the bell down below to be sure you get the updates.